Welcome back. Wednesday night, BDTR live. So I know some of you guys are going to get in here and be like, oh, did Reader steal the F-35? And he's going to have to call WTAJ and be like, guys, I swear I didn't steal the F-35. And yeah, so I made that little bit of clickbait. You know, what are you going to do? Sue me, you son of a bitch. But anyway, we are going to discuss the F-35 and a couple of other things here that I found pretty interesting. Because one of the things, now you guys know, I was in the Air Force. Obviously, I wasn't a pilot or anything, but I've always been into planes and played a lot of flight sims and stuff. And I just found it interesting that they had this plane supposedly, it's hard to find information about it. So allegedly, the guy ejected whenever it was an autopilot. So I don't know, it's just kind of weird. And there's been like 2 or 3 of these mishaps with these F-35s here recently. So, and I had heard a little bit of a rumor going around, and I've been sick for a couple of days, so I know my voice sucks, but I figured there's enough going on. I still wanted to do the broadcast tonight, and, you know, Abby decided to be shy for once, so here we are.
I'm not being shy. I'm just sick as well, and I sound worse than you, damn it.
Yeah,
Trying to save my voice.
Yeah, honestly, we weren't even planning on doing a show, and then I was going to do it, and then she's like, well, I feel a little better, so we'll both do it.
I'm feeling ornery tonight. Let's go.
So anyway, F-35. So I did find this when I just searched F-35 hacked, and I found this Popular Mechanics article. Now this is from a couple years ago, but it seems to be that they make the case here that it's definitely possible. I mean, any electronic device, anything can be accessed. Obviously, they have, you know, hopefully higher security measures for stuff like fighter jets, but there still is always that vulnerability there. And the issue becomes, because when you go in and you put in the search engine, like I said, obviously I use DuckDuckGo because I'm not a big Google guy. But you go down here. Oh, where was it at? There we go. Throwback attack. Chinese hackers steal plans for the F-35 fighter. So apparently, 2007, the Chinese, now I'm sure things have changed since then, but if you read through that Popular Mechanics article and then you read this other stuff, it's like there's definitely a potential, and I find it interesting. You know, China hasn't exactly been standing down as far as, you know, screwing with Taiwan and stuff. In fact, they've been ramping things up the past few days from what I've seen. So this brings me to my next thing that I thought was interesting, because you guys might have heard. Now, I don't know how widespread today was. I haven't been able to find, but I know last year because I'm thinking right about last year this time is when there was like this nationwide, basically like school threats hoax. Okay. And it was different stuff, but it was all over the country. It was insane. So I know at least, now what was this? Okay. So this is the article this is from a year ago. This is September 18th, 2022. And they're talking about the FBI, you know, dozens of schools on lockdown. It was probably more than dozens, honestly. It's probably hundreds.
Yeah.
And here they're saying USA Today found 30. It was widespread because I remember everybody around the local community was freaking out. So, and you know, once again, you type in a simple search, national school threat today. Well, here we go. 13 hours ago, and of course that has a Pennsylvania. I don't think this was localized to just Pennsylvania, because I did see there were other, like here's a day ago, there were school threats going across Maine. So we have to ask ourselves, because last time we had this nationwide, and this is kind of looking like the same thing. I haven't been able to...
Just 3 or 4 days ago, I'm sorry to interrupt you, 3 or 4 days ago, we actually had an incident here at our high school in our little tiny town where there was allegedly a bomb and shooting threat, to where the SWAT team came in, the school's on lockdown, they did end up fighting. The story changed back and forth that they actually found the firearm, but
was that
was at like, the high school.
Was that called in or emailed in?
I think that was called in.
Okay.
From multiple different students, because a lot of them started talking about it, and that's when they started texting their parents, and that's when all the screenshots on the community board come up.
That's what happened in Altoona today,
Yeah.
And of course they don't
Panic
tell
spreads
anybody.
like wildfire, and all you see is pictures of the SWAT team rolling up to the high school, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, is my kid okay?" Understandably,
and the parents are pissed because
nobody talks.
Once again, nobody lets them know. Which, I mean, if they want to.
I understand.
If they want to use the argument, we didn't want everybody to panic. I get that, but at the same time, it's like, your kid's at school and supposedly there's a shooter. How are you not going to panic?
Especially
You
because
know,
all
like,
these kids now have cell phones. The
yeah,
school has to
the parents are going to
stay
know either way.
exactly. So
So,
it's more responsible, I feel, for the school to be like, I know you're going to panic. Please don't panic. Here's what's going on. We have it under control. Here's what we're doing. This way, when all these texts start coming from the kids, the parent already kind of knows, like, okay, yes, this is scary, but like the school already told me. All right, I'll just talk to my kid through this. Like, we'll get through this. Gives you a little more calm instead of the first thing you hear from your kid is, oh my God, mom, I think I'm going to die.
right.
Someone's got a gun. Because that was literally one of the screenshots that I saw on our particular community page between this mom and her son. Like, he was genuinely, like, believing that they were going to die. They had all the lights off. Like, everything was locked up. Like, those kids were scared. And this kid was a junior in high school. And they were, like, really, really scared about this.
Right.
Because no one knew what was going on. Even the kids didn't know. All they heard was a bunch of other people talking about it. And even the teachers were like, I don't know either. I was just told to keep you in here and stay shush. So that doesn't help things either.
Yeah, it's just like,
Total chaos in every degree.
so my point is to bring this all back to one thing is I think there's a possibility the Chinese can mess with the F-35s and potentially other aircraft because if anybody knows how the F-35 works, it's basically like the centerpiece. It talks to everything else.
Yeah.
So if they can compromise it, and the other thing is too, it's like you don't even have to compromise it in such a way to actually be able to take control of the aircraft. Like these newer, like the old days, you had liquid oxygen on board for the pilots because once you get to a certain altitude, I think it's like over 12,000 feet, you're going to start having problems from hypoxia. So that's why they wear the masks and they have the oxygen and everything. The newer aircraft all have onboard oxygen generators. I don't know exactly how they work, but I would imagine there's an easy way or a way in the software to probably disable that, turn it off. So you got a guy flying at altitude and all of a sudden he loses oxygen, he's going to be in trouble. So and I don't know what all the Chinese got, with that hack. I don't know. Obviously, some of that 2007, some of it's going to be obsolete by now. It's probably not even useful. But number one, they can use it in their stuff. Number two, there might still be vulnerabilities that they can exploit. I don't know. The other problem with these like nationwide school threats, I really have to wonder, is China or Russia, because it's like once a year this happens. Are they doing this to see what our response is, our response time, our tactics, whatever? Then you do it a year later to see what changes. So you can kind of put a playbook together. Oh, this is how they adapt to this. This is how they adapt. I don't know. I just think that when stuff is happening on this kind of scale, somebody's kind of testing the waters. It could be somebody that's just a jackass. It's like, hey, it'd be funny, put every school in the country on lockdown. That's possible. I just don't think it's likely, especially that it seems to consistently happen once a year now.
Is this weird too that, years ago they're talking about the potential that there was a hack on the F-35 and now suddenly it was super quote unquote talked about that something happened with the F-35 today, but you can't really find much about it. That in itself is also weird to me because, I don't know hardly jack shit about planes, I'll be honest, guys. Flying scares the ever living hell out of me. This man understands about, loves planes. His idea of relaxing is watching a YouTube about different old school planes and how they work and whatnot. Anyway, I don't know hardly anything about it, but the little bit I know from memes and what he's told me, F-35 is supposed to be, I thought, the peak of whatever right now when it came to, aircraft, fighting aircraft, and, what we had versus what everyone else had. So to hear that something happened today with the F-35, not really knowing much about it, that's scary that there's not more info to kind of put anyone at ease. Like, oh yeah, just a quick malfunction. We got the plane back. Here it is. Everything's fine. It's more like,
Well, and there's so much controversy around this airplane because, obviously the cost was astronomical.
yeah.
I think as far as it being, as advanced weapon system, what it can do, I wouldn't say it's worth it per se, especially if we're going to be losing them all the time. I got to eject and they just fly off into the wild blue yonder, probably not the best thing.
No.
But one of the things that people kind of really got down on is back in one of the earlier phases of the F-35, they did a dogfight between an F-16, which was an aircraft that's been around since the 70s, and against the F-35, and the F-16 actually beat it. the caveat there is the F-35 still being under development. It was almost, it wasn't exactly a limp mode, but it wasn't able to do its full potential because they didn't want to inadvertently destroy the aircraft by doing maneuvers that it couldn't handle, essentially. So it was kind of, we'll just say it was in limp mode. So that's how the F-16 was able to beat it. Otherwise, the F-35 would have the advantage all the way around against any, I guess those are they call them Gen 4, Gen 4.5 fighters. The newer ones, basically, we took all these aircraft that were made in the 70s and we just jammed like the most up to date electronics and avionics in them,
That sounds
which
just
does
like
make
the
them
Navy.
better. But, and I still think the Navy should have picked the Super Tomcat over the Super Hornet, but that's above my pay
that was
grade.
before my time.
I
So I
didn't
have
get
no
the vote on
say.
that, so sorry.
Well, hell, I know. Even like the ships that the Navy uses outside like the newest ones, I'm sure it's changed since I've been in, but like the running joke was that like most of the equipment on that shit is from the 70s. Like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, go ahead, hit us with the EMP. We still got like the old school shit that we can boot up as long as someone knows how to run it. And
Yeah,
realistically, like the battleship, the Missouri, a lot of people don't realize that the USS Missouri right now, she is still fully like seaworthy, battle ready. All they gotta do is like yank down the Taurus shit, and as long as you still got an old gunner's mate who knows how to load those 5-inch,
yep.
Volkswagen's coming your way, boy.
Bombs away. Yeah,
I
well,
thought that was cool,
and it's just
honestly.
weird to look at kind of how technology progresses because you figure, World War I, we had some innovations. By World War II, we had legitimate, bombers and fighters and shit. And then, you had the space race, and some people would say we never went to the moon. I'm not really sure where I stand on that one, to be honest, but because Stanley Kubrick's a pretty good. He makes some pretty good movies, so I think he could fake a moon landing and it would be believable. But, um, but the point being is really like the technology it's like it makes leaps and bounds, and then it just kind of stagnates for years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
Because we see this, I mean, even like modern firearms,
Yeah. Yeah, holy hell.
there's not a huge difference between designs that were from the early 1900s compared to the way it's basically the same thing. Yeah, we fine tuned them a little bit, but the basis behind it would be almost like the difference between, we're having this battle on what kind of energy we should use and whatever. And I don't know why everybody's so against nuclear, but if we would have like actual nuclear fusion, like
Hmm.
that would be a step forward like humanity hasn't seen in a while. But
Nuclear can be a really, really good thing if we actually put the money and investment into people researching it and properly like harnessing it, understanding it. Because the little bit I understand about nuclear, it is a super powerful source. It is very picky. It has to be in a certain rhythm. The minute it slows down is when you have your issues. Like it's a balance.
well, there's different type like the
I'm thinking more of the reactors on the ships.
I'll
That's
have
that
to
was how it was explained.
well,
Sorry.
and the thing is, so everything I'll try to parrot because I can't explain this as well as a lot of other people can that are actually nuclear physicists. But
If
basically,
anyone
there's
knows one they want to call in, please do.
there's two major types, and I'll have to remember every once in a while I'll post this video. I'll try to remember to post it again. But there's a guy that explains the slow breeder reactor, which uses thorium, as opposed to the fast breeder reactor, which everybody uses because it basically enriches uranium to weapons grade plutonium. So everybody went with the fast breeders because it helped you produce nuclear weapons. So, but the slow breeders are much safer, just better overall in the long run, unless you're, trying to win the arms race, which obviously we were. So that's why we went with the fast breeder. But yeah, speaking of breeders and readers,
Jeez.
oh, see what I did there?
Yes.
Yeah, so Reader goes on WTAJ and basically says, oh, there's all these people just smearing me, and it's all. And you know what? He stopped short of really saying it was lies. He just said we were, which word did he use? That we were just basically just like bashing them, which I mean we did, but
I mean,
rightfully so. I mean, it's
we didn't say anything that wasn't true, and if we gave an opinion, we stated it was an opinion.
well, and that's the thing. If that's just another issue with him, it's like, dude, if that's how thin your skin is, how are you gonna get into politics?
How are you going to actually tackle the bigger issues of the county and actually make the bigger changes? Because little changes Okay.
Yeah.
We need big changes. We need someone with thicker skin. And if you can't take a little bit of controversy and a little bit of somebody calling you out, how the hell are you going to handle that?
Well, and that's the
Not.
thing too. Like John was saying the other night, we, not we, Huntington County is, on the up. So let's keep it that way.
Please.
It's just, I don't know. I don't understand why. I mean, okay, so he got started with this, whatever. Maybe he figured all this wouldn't come out and he'd get elected and everything would be fine. Well, that's not the case. That's not the case anymore. And it's just, just like Ted Simpson. He wasn't crushed and he only got X amount of the vote. He was crushed because he didn't win in a landslide. I mean, the guy's freaking delusional.
And egotistical.
And I'm not comparing Reader to Ted because they're not, I mean, they have similarities, but nobody, like, I'm not going to give anybody the credit of being on Ted Simpson's level because that man is just another level of piece of shit that I hope I never see again in my lifetime.
Agreed.
Because you look at what we can prove and put out about him, and there's probably a whole nother library
Iceberg.
full of shit. Yeah.
That's a whole iceberg in
Yeah.
itself with that man, and I don't even want to begin to go.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So I'm sure like 20 years from now, he'll run for something else and say, I got a clean background, guys. He'll be Teddy Simpson then to try
Teddy
to,
boy.
because he always has to change his name. But,
Oh my.
I change my name on Facebook every once in a while just because I can, but he has to change his name in real life. But see, that seems to be a common thing between these people. They got to use all these different names. And
They got to bounce around area to area because the minute
Yeah.
that the truth gets out, their name's no good and they're black marked everywhere, basically. They just
Yep.
got to keep reaching further and further out to someone who doesn't know them. And that's even worse. It's like, it's bad enough that you put one area through it or one person even through something like that. And now you're so bold as to keep going. Like, you got shut down once, you got called out once, and you're going to keep it going? Seriously?
Yeah.
That's a whole different kind of piece of shit in my book.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's wild, but that's just how, like these people, and that's just another example of how somebody like that, what are they doing in public service?
Yeah.
Because, what are they doing there? They obviously don't care about
The public.
the public. They're there for, I don't know, maybe, which for him it doesn't really make sense that the retirement thing would be, because he was working for the DOC. So like I don't really understand what his angle is. I was trying to pull up a post from earlier. Here we go. So he posted this the other day,
Is it shown? I don't think it's pulled up right now.
yesterday it's probably not shown on the thing, so you go back to screen capture. There we go. See, I'm getting the hang of it. So we got Reader there, and he's got it's still kind of a low quality picture, but he's in color, and then Kurt's in black and white. So I don't know if
He doesn't even give his name. He just says write-in.
is he insinuating Kurt's a racist, or Kurt doesn't see color? Like I don't know. What does that mean?
I don't know what that means.
You guys
but I think it's really ignorant that he couldn't even put his name in, and he put write-in. That to me, I feel is kind of ignorant. Like if you're gonna put his picture out there, and regardless if you guys are competing, come on. There's a certain level of professionalism. I'm sure whenever he puts anything out, and if he would put anything out, and were it was to compare himself to you, he would put your name on it. Come on, man.
Okay, so
That's petty.
let's go through this. So Reader, because I think he has these like, I'm this, and then this is Kurt's, blah, 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 blah. So Reader has Republican primary winner, write-in, lost primary election fair and square. Dude, he lost by what? 28 votes?
I thought it was 27.
Was it 27?
It was the 20s.
I gave you a vote, dude. I gave you a vote. All right? I don't want to hear it. Oh, they're bash. I gave you a vote. I don't want to hear it. Combat war veteran. Well, if you're in combat, you're probably in a war, right? So wouldn't you just say combat veteran? I don't know why it says combat war veteran. I'm going to nitpick this to shit just because he wanted to put this up there.
Oh, I know.
So now over here for Kurt, he says Army reservist. So what's he implying there? That because Kurt was in the reserves, that what, his service doesn't count?
That's how I'm taking that.
He's not a combat vet, so he can't run the county. I mean,
The way it's worded.
that seems to be what he's inferring there to me.
Again, this is all our opinion. We're reading verbatim what it says, but then we're giving our
Oh,
opinion
look at this
afterwards.
though. He has
Oh.
a BA criminal justice from Lock Haven, so he should definitely be aware of some of the
Yeah.
things he's done that are illegal. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I got Kurt high school diploma. Is that even true? I thought Kurt did have some college.
I don't know.
I'll have to ask him.
We will.
I'm not sure if that's accurate or not.
And it shouldn't matter either way. Like,
Well, it shouldn't matter. So what?
Oh.
He's a what? So what? So he wasn't dumb enough to go for the college scam and
pay a whole bunch
take
of
a
money.
bunch of money out and
Yeah.
yeah.
College is for everyone. So what? Who cares? Why that's even listed on
Well,
theirs?
and Reader probably went on the GI Bill, so he probably didn't pay for it either.
More than likely.
Experience
Uh-huh.
with county government and agencies. No experience with county government or agencies. Well, what agencies?
Yeah.
That would be my question. Huntingdon County Planning Commission member. And then it has Kurt, no small business experience. Small business, he skipped one. So he skipped one. That's what it was. So Reader has small. Well, here's what I'm trying to figure out, Mr. Patrick, if you're listening, because you probably are, or you'll see this.
Yeah.
So the word on the street is, to keep in mind, this, I'm putting this out there. This is just what I heard. I'm not saying it's factual. They're spreading lies.
Right
No.
around the scuttlebutt is.
Here's what I want to know. So allegedly, you have a building that's under some kind of either an LLC or a name that implies it's some kind of firearms business. But I know you don't have an FFL. So what? You don't sell guns and ammo. You what? Just sell optics and scopes and
I don't know, like
hey man,
T-shirts,
if
like
it may be T-shirts, like
maybe like
Reader for Commissioner. He sells those at the guns, the not gun store.
the not gun store.
The not gun store.
Yeah.
Okay, so nonprofit experience and no nonprofit experience. Well, if you're gonna get me started on nonprofits, like
Are you actually a
there's-
nonprofit? Like,
well,
was it actually a
you
nonprofit?
can go there, or there's a lot of them that are basically scams. Because that was one of the things I never understood about Paul. It's like, dude, if you want to be a piece of shit, like you can still make out at a nonprofit. It's not hard. A lot of people do it.
Exactly.
Pennsylvania DOC experience. Pennsylvania DO. Okay, so why would that's the same. Why put that on there? Knocked on 3,000 doors to hear your concerns. Did not knock on three. Well, okay.
How do you know, for one?
well,
and for two, did
yeah.
you count the 3,000 doors you knocked on?
Well, that, and
Someone said also.
we know from
So apparently he just has the building and it's
he just has his firearms building just to, I don't know.
apparently this is
I mean, he can call in and explain it if he wants to. I'd be more than happy to hear
Why
what
you
he's
have
doing
building.
with that building. And
'Cause if you're not
what
gonna
was
do-
that? What was that lady's name? Sharon Reigert, I think. She's like 12 grand in the hole because he like did half a job or something on her
yeah, I
kitchen.
believe it. Yeah.
But he's got small business experience, so there's that. But yeah, the 3,000 doors thing, back to that. I mean, even John said, Kurt goes around all these, wherever they were doing their stuff, and he's talking to people. I mean, you don't just have to go knock on doors. That's not the only way to have exposure to the public and hear people's concerns. I mean, I think if you're knocking on doors, maybe those people don't even want to talk to you. Somebody's coming to a rally, they probably do want to
I was
talk to
gonna
you. They
say,
probably have
'cause
stuff
I've
to
seen
tell you.
plenty of pictures of Mr. McConaughey out at different events recently, meeting with people, being there. So if you want to approach him and ask him questions, you can. And like you said, it doesn't matter on how many damn doors you knock on, because frankly, I don't care. You knock on my door, I'm not answering. No matter who you are, and no matter what election season it is, I don't want to talk to you if you come knocking at my door. I'll come find you if I want to talk.
So the last one here,
Oh, God.
Reader has a plan and will fight for all of Huntingdon County. And apparently, Kurt doesn't have a plan to
And
fight
won't
for,
fight for
all
of Huntingdon County.
all. I think it's back to the picture. I think Kurt's like only going to fight for, certain color people or something, or that. I don't know.
I
What's
don't
with
know.
the picture? I'm trying to
I
decipher.
don't know
it.
if it's in a
Patrick just
situation.
needs to call in and tell me what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, like what's your plan? Also, like, okay, so you have a plan. What's your plan? And
Yeah.
how are you going to say he doesn't have a plan? Like, there's sounds like our 6-year-old wrote this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I don't know.
Our
But
6-year-old could probably make a better comparison chart.
I saw that and I was like, my God, it's just, it's just
A shit show.
oh, and apparently his construction company went bankrupt too. But he's got experience. He's got experience going bankrupt. I mean, dude,
Sounds like he's
that's
got
not boding
experience.
very well for you.
No, you've got experience running businesses into the ground or
Yeah.
buying buildings and doing nothing with it, therefore kind of gridlocking potential new business coming into Huntingdon. I'm just saying, if you actually give a shit, doesn't sound like you know what you're
I
doing.
mean, what's the plan? We're gonna like revamp Warrior Ridge training, get Ted's FFL back,
Ugh,
sell some
sneeze.
transfer some guns to our name and sell them at the gun shops without background checks. You all right?
Yeah, excuse me. I tried to
She's-
get away so I
she's-
didn't blow your eardrums out.
She's dying on me over here, but
Just a little bit. Go on without me.
reader kills everybody on the inside sooner or later.
I don't know if that's possible with my cold dead heart. Let's open up the line. See
Yeah.
if Reader's gonna
I
actually call in.
should have put the number up. He'll accuse. Oh, they told me to call in, but I didn't know what the number was.
I mean, it's the same every time.
I don't know how he talks. I don't think I've ever really heard him talk.
For some reason, I imagine his voice being squeakier than that. I could be wrong, but for some reason, I just kind of get kind of a nasally voice out of it. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, not everybody can have my deep, grumbly. My throat's been sore for 3 days,
I know.
and it's not from sucking dick, Reader, because I know you're gonna say that.
Oh my god.
Oh, ho, ho,
Oh.
ho, ho. BDTR Live, what's on your mind? Hey, you made it.
Hey.
No, I'm not Patrick.
Oh,
Aw.
you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Man, I got so excited there. I'm
both
like,
did.
finally.
We both did.
Yeah, you asked what was on my mind.
That's fair. That's fair. So what do you have to tell us about Patrick? Can you straighten out the firearms building thing? Because I'm really curious about that.
I can't straighten that out.
Okay.
The only thing I can say, I mean, everyone can do their own looking. I'm not gonna say any addresses or anything, but
We're not
all the
trying to dox
property-
anybody here.
Don't say
I'm
anything.
sorry?
We're not. A joke to another thing. Don't say anything you don't want to say. Don't say anything you can't say. You say
Yeah.
whatever you want. Nothing more. Nothing less.
Yep.
yeah. So I mean, anyone can do their own thing, but you can see where a lot of these properties connect. You can connect the dots and figure out who owns what.
Mm-hmm.
You had mentioned about how many different LLCs and how many different names there were of properties being owned by Reader and everything. And
Mhm.
if you go through the county tax parcels and everything, it's very evident. You can see how many different shells there actually are. There's Refactor Game Company. There's that firearms that you cited about.
Mm-hmm.
There's just, and then there's of course property in his name, which everyone has property in their name. That's to be expected. But
Right.
you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out how many different ways and properties and wordings there are for many different pieces to the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the answers are to those pieces of the puzzle, or if there is even an answer, if it's just a way to hide money. But
That almost sounds
I
like
mean,
what the
that's something-
Bidens were doing.
yeah, that's
Right.
some things we'll never know.
Buying a property. Yeah, that's possible.
But I mean, I live in Mount Union. I've lived in Mount Union my entire life. I didn't know Mr. Reader until about 7 or 8 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and my first impression was not good from the get-go. He just didn't have any. It's just not a very personable person, in my opinion. But that's again an opinion. I deal with a lot of people. I've dealt with a lot of people. I've worked with the public since I graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
in many aspects. I mean, I did what everyone else did after you graduate high school. You go work at a gas station, you do your part, you find a better job, you make your way up, and you climb the ladder. But
Well, see, I joined the military, but I was chair force. Now I did deploy, so I don't know if my service counts or not. I'll have to ask him because apparently, from what he
yeah,
posted, Kurt's service doesn't count because he was in the reserves.
yeah, I unfortunately wasn't able to go to the service due to health reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everybody has
But
their own path. To each
Yep.
his own. We don't judge anybody that went in or didn't go in. You don't have to
Absolutely.
explain yourself to
Yeah.
anybody why you didn't go in. It's a personal decision. And frankly, I will slap hell out of my child if she says she wants to go in at this point.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that my health held me back. Now that I see some things and I've learned some people and I've grown a little older.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm most definitely. I mean, I couldn't go to the service, so what I did is I decided to switch gears, and I knew I could help my community, so that's exactly what I did.
Right.
So I joined the fire service, and I actually worked through the we had an opioid epidemic down here in Mount Union about a decade ago, and
Mm-hmm.
I worked my way through that. Did some things, and I got out of the fire service. I retired, and then now I'm elected to Mount Union Borough. So I try to help out when I can. I do what I can. I volunteer at a couple different places, and it really irritates me whenever someone has the balls, I guess, to say that I don't care about my community whenever I'm volunteering every day or every other day.
So
whether-
Reader said that.
I'm sorry.
Has Reader said that about you?
Oh yeah, I
Okay.
have everything. He posted it on Facebook on one of his various pages.
That's ridiculous.
Made slants towards a couple council people's living arrangements. I have all of that, and of course
Wow.
he deleted everything too. As
Mhm.
soon as he says it, he deletes everything. So the conversations don't make any sense on the Facebook pages. That's why.
Yeah. Well, it
I
seems like the only
noticed that.
person that can measure up to his standards are him.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's ridiculous.
hypocritical, narcissism. Those are a couple words in my opinion. I mean, another thing too, if people want to look for themselves, I mean, they're public records. Mount Union Borough business meeting minutes are public record, and probably for a good 2 or 3 years solid every month, you can find out some things about how he acted or what he wanted to do, or if he wanted money for this or wanted money for that. I mean, it's all public record down here in the municipal office.
So if someone did want to come in to get that public information, is there a specific area within the office, or like who would they approach to ask the question to get that kind of information if they were so inclined to come in to get it?
You could go to the borough secretary, go to the open records person, just file right to know paperwork, and then you could get whatever you wanted. I mean,
Get the
there's a
old.
process to it. That's not exactly how you do it, but there's a process to it, just like if you wanted the same type of information from the courthouse.
Well, I know the way I used to do it. It's just if you can just fill out the form and email it to whoever is in charge of the records office, and they can usually
Yeah,
send everything digitally to you.
yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. I've never filed for anything public information.
I've done
never
quite
had
a
to.
few. So
But
That's why I wanted to
I
ask
mean-
to clarify it for those who haven't done it multiple times. And since we do have someone who actually understands the process on the phone to explain to people,
Mhm.
so I don't butcher it.
well, I know. I'm pretty sure Patrick probably knows the process. So you might be able to get the information from him.
Right.
Well, hopefully, if he ever calls in, we've
Oh,
been
he
waiting.
says he's transparent, so I guess we'll just keep waiting. He's probably hoping everybody will just vote for him, and then after the fact, they'll be like, "Haha, got you, suckers."
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Well, I think the election's going to come down to whether or not people show up to the polls.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's going to be, well, this person says they're going to vote for me, but I mean, it's realistic just being realistic, it's the municipal election,
Yep.
and there's not really anything important coming up during this fall election. Like, you're not
Yep.
voting for a senator, you're not voting for a president. So the people just aren't going to be lining up at the polls like they do normally.
Yep.
And
We had a ton of issues with that in Blair County because like the DA election, I think it was DA, sheriff, the county commissioners, it's all off year elections. So there's no president.
yeah,
Now, like you said, if you have a representative or a senator or whatever, sometimes that'll bring more people out. But really, unless it's the presidential election, turnout is dismal for the most part.
it is, and that's sad across the country because I'm
Yep.
sure it happens across the entire country.
Well, and that's the thing is I hear so many people complain about, oh, I don't really think my vote counts. And I understand, like in the presidential race with the way the electoral college is and everything, I can understand someone feeling like, my vote's not going to make a difference. But look at the local level. This race was decided by what, 27 votes.
Don't quote me, but I believe
I mean,
what it was.
that's insane.
Yeah.
That is about as close as it can possibly
It's like a
get.
JV high school class.
Yeah.
Averages like 27 to 30. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I personally hope and wish that, election turnout was going to be great, but me be trying to remain realistic is I think it's just going to be really, really close. I think it's going to be really, really close again, or it's just going to be a landslide. It's just going to depend on who shows up.
That's why it's more important now than ever that we keep talking about it, and everyone keeps talking about it. The diners, the gas stations, everywhere
Well,
you go.
that's going to be Kurt's biggest hurdle is you can't just go in and punch a hole. I don't know how your voting machines are in Huntington County. We had these really stupid ones in Blair, but you can't just select a person. You actually got to type their name in. So
Yeah, I've only got to vote, I think, 3 or 4 times so far, and everything down here is paper and pen.
mm-hmm. Well, that's probably better because I'll tell you, some of the older people, and nothing against that. Like literally, I mean, I consider myself pretty computer literate. These freaking machines, there's like a dial on it you move around and a button you push, and then you put no. It's the most ridiculous thing you could believe.
Yeah. I guess the last thing I want to touch base on, I know you guys, I've been listening since you signed on tonight. Yeah, you said about how Huntington County as a whole is trying to be on the upswing. The county's trying to get things, better, rebuild, get things, fixed up so people continue to invest money here in many different ways.
Right.
And, one of the big things right now, especially for the county, and I'm kind of surprised that none of the candidates are kind of swinging on this, is the Mount Union borough is on kind of its own renaissance right now. Like, we got we got millions and millions of dollars being pumped into our community from outside investment firms developing housing down here. We're getting ready to get a auto parts store back, which we haven't had an auto parts store in decades, which that might seem minimal to some people, but
No, you definitely need an auto parts store because when you're having a bad day trying to fix your car, the last thing you want to do is have to drive an hour to get a part that they may or may not have.
Yeah, like we're in the middle of everywhere and we don't have much here. So any business that we get or we retain is great. So we got that coming back. We got our hardware stores getting ready to expand for the 4th time. Like, we've got people wanting to build houses down here. The Habitat for Humanity just announced that they're going to be building 2 new houses in our borough for us.
That's what I like to hear.
Mount Union as an entirety are trying our best to get our empty factories full, get our empty houses, if they're blighted, torn down and redeveloped. We're working so much harder than what people like Reader and others are just saying. We're just sitting back and we're not doing anything. We had the council has been working on this for the past decade. We had a $3 million wall, $3 million railroad wall that we had to rebuild because it collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
That just got done. The state moved funding and moved it to Mount Union to make sure that got taken care of.
Right.
Now we're getting 2 brand new intersections, each one costing about $2 million. That's huge for a town that only has 2,200 people in it.
That is huge because Mount Union, I've gone through Mount Union a good bit. I had family down there for a while. Mount Union's cute. It has a lot of charm and a lot of potential. And I think, like you're saying, if you guys can get those other handful of things done, it'll bring a lot of that charm back and it'll kind of breathe fresh air back into Mount Union. Because respectfully, I went to Huntington for a while, so you already know the school rivalry thing there. Wasn't
Yeah.
always crazy about Mount Union till I grew up, and then I went through and I was like, wow, this town's actually really cute. It's a little dated like most of the area, but this town I could see being really cute. It's really nestled in here and like there's charm to it. It just needs a little bit of, a little push, just a little bit of fresh air breathed back in. It'll be really nice when
Yeah.
it's done. I'm happy to hear
I mean,
that.
that's what, and I know people in the community get disheartened whenever, they might read something in the newspaper or something isn't how they exactly want to understand it. That's how politics work. But, people in Mount Union need to know that, just because you think we're not doing anything, there's a lot of things going on in the back end of it. And you don't get something done in 1 year. Like, there's that wall I referenced. That wall took almost over 10 years to get done.
Mm-hmm.
And kudos to everybody that put their asses into gear to get the funding, that the people that drove to Harrisburg to try and solicit from all the political avenues to make sure that the funding got moved to Huntington County. And
Right.
a lot of that rides back on county commissioner support, county commissioner knowing who to talk to, a county commissioner knowing how to talk, period.
Right.
And I mean, just with some of the things that I know personally about presentation wise, I can't really tie any type of professionalism or anything into there because I don't really know Patrick in that aspect because I've never seen him in that aspect.
Right.
But I mean, if you're going to vote for a county commissioner, you need to know someone who knows how to talk to people. You need to have someone who knows how to do, some sort of, hey, I know who you are. I was told a couple days ago there was an event at the East Broad Top Railroad in Orbizonia. Patrick didn't even know who Senator Judy Ward was. Like, he had
I
to go
even
up
know
to
who that
Senator-
is.
He had to go up to Senator Judy Ward and ask her who she was. Now, again, this is third-party information, but how do you not know who your senators are?
Yeah.
We're in West Virginia and I even know who she is. And I don't pay attention to politics hardly at all, period.
Yeah.
Ouch.
I've made a few
I
memes
find
about
it-
Judy.
Well, that helps.
I find it really upsetting that you want to run for a county office, and if it is true and you don't know who somebody is,
Yep.
that I wouldn't, go up to somebody and say, hey, who are you?
Yeah.
Especially on a train that is full of politicians.
Well, and that's the thing too.
That's
is
when
like,
you sit back, shut up, and listen for someone to call her by name.
Yeah.
You just sit there and eavesdrop until the name gets dropped, okay? I've been in that situation where mine goes blank. I'm like, shit, I need to know their name, but I know I can't ask. Listen, oh, hey,
well,
so.
he doesn't know how to communicate, and that's
No.
obvious for the way he just blocks people. Somebody asks him a question he doesn't like, blocks them. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, that's insane.
For someone who's knocked
Right,
on
and
3,000 doors and talked to
Yeah,
people.
so transparent.
Are you sure it's not you
Well, that's-
blocked 3,000 people?
Yeah, I'm probably one of them. And that's why I said, like, that information is third party. I don't know how accurate it is. It might not be accurate at all. But I hope to God, for everybody's sake, including everyone that lives in the county down here, that if that is true, they need to know, not so much they need to know that little detail, but they need to know who
That's
they're
how little
voting
he
for.
cares.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're voting for someone that doesn't have their head so far up their own ass.
Exactly. Because all that shows, that little detail right there just shows how little he really cares. Like, if you're stepping
and I
into this
thought of that
race, you
too.
need to do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, like when I joined the Navy, I went in half blind, but guess what? The minute my paper was signed, I'm sitting there looking up everything online. I'm looking up, the general orders, the oath, like ranks, recognition of insignia. Is like, I did my homework, so I was prepared to take on the position that I had applied to, essentially. This man sounds like
Yeah.
he's like, hey, look at me. I want this job, but I haven't done a damn thing to research for it and
Well,
or
and
hope that I don't
I
get
love
in.
his argument too of, well, I won the primary fair and square, so you guys have to vote for me. Like,
Sounds like a
Well,
child.
and you bring that up. I don't know the rules and so forth that because I'm not a member of the Republican committee of the
Mhm.
county. But like, forgive me if I'm wrong or ignorant in this fact, and I hope it's not held against me publicly. But if it should be every citizen's right to endorse whoever they feel is fit for the job, correct?
well, the thing is with the
Absolutely.
bylaws, that is like that's like you go to like Walmart and they're like, no firearms, and you're carrying concealed, and you're like, fuck that sign. You disobey the bylaws. No one cares. It's not really a criminal offense. it's,
I,
it's
I agree with your statement, though. It should be that you, as a citizen of that county, should not be bound by party. You should be allowed to vote for whoever you feel fits
well,
the
it's
job
it's not
best.
it's the people on. The thing is they want that rule is designed so that you don't have like what Barger was worried about in Blair and have the primary go through, then you have somebody do a write-in, split the vote, and then the other party gets a seat. That's what that's designed. That's like what John said. That's not an issue here. So that's not
Yeah.
even an issue on. So the whole, if you look at the color of the law or however you want to put that, this isn't even that doesn't apply. Now you could still cry that the bylaws whatever for that's a small group of people. The rest of the county is by no means obligated to just vote for the guy that won the primary. If that's the case, why the hell do we even have a general election? You know.
Yeah, and I was wondering that because I kind of feel that with the WTAJ stunt is what I'm calling it. Like
Mm-hmm.
with some of the comments that were in there. Now, granted, it's the news, and the news only tells you what they want you to know.
Well, if they want
But
to pretend to be journalists, I know there's at least one person that's reached out to them to tell the other side of the story. So, they might want to get in on that.
yeah, I just think that with some of the ways that things were presented on the news, it's like, well, if you're a Republican and you're young, and this is where I'm kind of going with this, if you have kids that just, are getting ready or just graduated school this past year, they're starting to get their things together for their life, they're, determining whether or not what party they're going to be, where they're going to vote, they're probably going to be voting for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, to be telling people that you have to support someone because you won the primary, like, I feel like you have an upper advantage if you're going to tell everybody that because you're taking advantage of certain people.
Yep.
Because not everyone knows the rules, and not everyone is going to know all the rules all the time.
Well, and that just kind of seems to be his method of operation is taking advantage of people.
Yeah,
So-
I would have to agree with that. So
And it sounds like the FBI choppers out there. So if we lose the feed, guys,
We love you all.
but that's all I have.
Well, thank you for calling
right.
in. You actually gave a lot of good information.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
people would have never, ever in a million years gleamed or thought to even ask.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank
Yeah,
you.
he wants to talk about transparency. I mean, the government has to be transparent all the time. So I urge everyone, you can file right to know paperwork and you can get any information that you think might be there or might not be there at all. And you can make your own informed decisions.
Yep.
Absolutely. 'Cause
So,
that's what we want.
and that's the way it has to be, and that's the fair way of doing things, because that's the way that our forefathers set everything up.
Right.
Yes.
And that's
Absolutely.
what we're all here to do.
100% agree. Thank
So-
you so much for calling in, and hope you have a good rest of your night, sir.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yep. Have a good night.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Mm.
So yeah, that was pretty interesting conversation, I would say.
I didn't expect that, but I'm glad he called in because, yeah, I know you talk about it all the time, but it's nice to hear someone else call in and encourage people and remind people that there is the ability to file right to know. Sorry, I'm still off with the mic. I'm trying not to beat the crap out of it and kill y'all's ears. I'm still not feeling the best. You can hear it coming through the sinuses now. Oh,
Well, we got
yeah.
I have a noise. That's one good advantage to using the streaming software is you can put different things in. Like I have a noise limiter. So like when Tanya called in the other night, it was about ready to blow our eardrums out. But when you actually listen to the audio, it just has a little bit of a pop. It's not so bad. So
That's why you see me launch the seat. That little pop is a lot more dramatic on our end. I'm not being dramatic. It was loud, okay?
I wish it would just, the Magic Jack thing would just pick a volume, but it refuses to. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll upgrade the phones here at some point, but
Anything's better than this piece of crap I've got.
until then, yeah, we're just stuck with what which honestly we don't get. I feel like we keep up with the calls pretty good. So
Yeah. I'm really happy with the quality, like the sound quality of the calls, especially since we're getting so many from different areas.
yeah,
People calling in.
yep, the dog's alive.
Yeah, she's being dramatic as hell too.
So we'll give it like another minute or two here if anybody else wants to chime in. But anything good going on in the comments? I haven't been paying attention.
No, I think people have just mainly been listening tonight, which is fine, honestly. And to the few people that did say hi, hello, hello, hello again.
there.
I know you react to your comments, but formally, hello. Thank you for joining us. I'm personally really tired right now, so sorry if I seem out of it.
Yeah, just real quick, guys. It's next Wednesday, the 28th, is going to be the presidential Republican primary. I'm going to do a watch party. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the link in the event because I'm going to create an event here probably tonight, maybe tomorrow. I don't know yet. Depends what all else I can get done tonight because I really want to start getting the Spotify ones up because I put out 3 last night, I think, just because I got behind on those because I record the video of this and I just literally just have to click and upload that to Rumble and YouTube, but to Spotify, I have to pull the audio out. I clean it up a little bit because it is just an audio only, and I'd like to do a little bit to it to just make it sound a little bit better for people that are just listening. And so it's a little bit more involved, takes more time.
To give y'all an idea, when we get off the podcast, usually, we're at 9 or whatever. He's sitting here until close to 11:30 midnight some nights, still working on all this
It
stuff.
depends how long. Like for an hour-long show, it takes me probably.
But to give him a reference of the amount of crap that
Yeah.
goes into what you do.
So when I'm
insane.
tired, it doesn't always get done. I make YouTube and Rumble the priority just because that's the video. But anyway, so
Thank
next
you everyone for your patience on that note.
Yeah, next Wednesday, we're going to be doing a watch party for the Republican presidential primary debate. So what I'm going to do is leave the link to our Rumble. I'm going to try to do the stream on Facebook. I don't know how Facebook's going to like me streaming because I think the only place I'm really going to be able to get the actual video of the event is on Rumble. So we will literally be watching on Facebook a Rumble stream. I don't know if Facebook will like that. We'll try it, see what happens. If they don't like it, we'll just go live on Rumble. So if we get out on here, and I'll include this all in the description and everything so everybody knows what to do if you want to watch. Because it seemed like there was some people wanted us to do that, so we'll do that.
Now, for Rumble, do they have to make an account in order to watch that?
No, you should be able to just get on the website or follow the link and pull up. It'll say it's live, and it's just like YouTube. You don't have to log into YouTube.
I just wanted to make sure people knew that because I know the apprehension of, oh man, I got to download another app, make another account.
Yeah,
You don't have
you
to.
can if you want to follow us on there. We'd appreciate it. So, because eventually, when YouTube kicks us off, that's where we're going to be.
Rumble's where we can post about anything without it being all weird about it. So, especially if you're looking for a podcast or something, it's still on Rumble.
Alex Jones is on there. YouTube is trying to get rid of Russell Brand because of like allegations from however many years ago that were already out there, and now all of a sudden it's a big deal. He's still on Rumble, so I think we're probably safe there
for now.
But yeah, if nobody wants to call in, I guess we'll just end it here, and until next time.
Have a good